I'm going to be reacting to the new UFC Meta AI rankings. And just as I predicted on X multiple times, they are straight dog shit. Some of the things they actually did right, there's some placements where, showed a little bit of ball knowledge, but for the most part, it was just atrocious. So I'm just going to be going over all of the wrong things they did or the main wrong things, and then the few right things they did. So, first, obviously, let's talk about everything they did horribly. The number one biggest atrocity on this through this whole system, which they talked about, right? That it's based off of more recent wins, right? Wins will kind of expire at some point. And it's how you win, who you beat, all that. Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill is at number 5 in the light heavyweight rankings. For context, Jamal Hill's last win was against Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira has been retired for a while. That was Jamal Hill's last win back in January of 2023. Since then, slumped by Pereira, knocked out by Yuri, absolutely styled on by Khalil Roundtree. Yes, the guy with the humiliation fetish. But somehow, Jamal Hill is the number 5 light heavyweight on the planet. That, even if they did good, even if this whole system was like, wow, they actually did a really good job, this is perfect. If they kept that one ranking, which this isn't the only example of the system's the system's incompetence. But everything else could be perfect, but just that one thing you could immediately dismiss this whole thing just from this placement for Jamal Hill. Another massive atrocity. Pat Sabatini or Sabatini, whatever, at number 7. Who has Pat Sabatini beaten? He's on a decent little winning streak, right? Really, the main thing that I remember him for was getting knocked out by Diego Lopez. But let's look at since then. He's got a solid 22-5 record. Overall, I guess maybe this isn't so bad, but overall UFC record, I think it's more of just nobody takes Pat Sabatini seriously at all. I mean, how can you have 2 knockouts in your entire career, not just UFC, your whole career? I don't even think he's had a knockout in the UFC. That's just pathetic. Joe Anderson Brito is a decent win, but William Gomez, Chepe Mariscal, and their decision. But apparently, that's enough for you to be the 7th best featherweight in the world. So again, a sign of pure incompetence from this new rankings. And this is even worse than Sabatini. Borjas and Raposo at 10 and 11 at bantamweight. It's Kevin Borjas, right? Yeah. Kevin Borjas is 2-5 in the UFC right now. Right? No, he's he's 2-5. No, 2-4 in the UFC right now. But still, he has faced defeat 4 out of the 6 times that he's competed in the UFC. And he's a top 10 flyweight. Mitch Raposo, the kid that looks like he was destined to go cold. I guarantee you, just looking at this little fucker's face, he's going to go cold one day in the UFC. Badly. And he's 2-2. Sure, he got a good win against Nascimento or whatever his name was, last week, or no, not even last week, a few days ago. Even though that was a good win, it wasn't oh my gosh, he beat the fucking brakes off of him. And then he's been 2-2 since then. And his other win was against a no-name. Again, how can you be 2-2 in the promotion and be that high? Another one, Alex Pereira at number 4 at heavyweight. Alex Pereira has had one fight at heavyweight. And he got put out cold by Cyril Gane. I mean, absolutely fucking annihilated by Cyril Gane. Oh no, it was kind of, I wouldn't say that. He got dropped by a jab by Pillow Fist's Cyril Gahn. That's his only showcase at heavyweight. Those 8 minutes. But yeah, he's the fourth best heavyweight. We just know that for sure. Another one, Marcus McGee at number 9. Marcus McGee really, he's like the 36-year-old prospect. Hasn't had that many fights in the UFC. And if you like look at the last 2 years, his only wins are Giannis, like that he had a few weeks ago, which is decent-ish, and Jonathan Martinez. Jonathan Martinez was the one that got absolutely obliterated by leg kicks from Jose Aldo, 45-year-old Jose Aldo. And he looked awful against Marcus McGee too. Like I specifically remember watching that fight being like, holy shit, Jonathan Martinez is straight ass. And he hasn't even fought since then. And then McGee had a somewhat competitive fight with Jan, the champion. But again, he lost. And then he has the win against Giannis. And they have him at number 9. I think he should be in the rankings, but that's just way too high. Barcelos at 8. Again, same thing with him. Really, he's had solid wins. Like, he's on a good win streak. And then, really his best win is against Peyton Talbot. And then he has, some randoms like Cody Garbrandt. It's like, oh, Cody Garbrandt. But if Cody Garbrandt wasn't Cody Garbrandt, you wouldn't even think twice about that win. And then he goes and has a split decision with Montel Jackson. I don't think that anybody that has a remotely close fight with Montel Jackson, because reminder, Montel Jackson lost to Figueiredo not that long ago. Anybody that has a competitive fight with Montel Jackson the way that Barcelos did, you should not be in the top 10. Barcelos should be ranked, but yeah, at number 8 is kind of crazy, especially considering that it's, again, you're talking about finishing opponents. He hasn't had a finish in like 3 years. So, way too high. Also, Amir Albazi is at number 8 still. Amir Albazi hasn't had a win since Kai Car France 3 years ago. And even in that fight, Kai Car France got robbed. Amir Albazi, he also didn't win that fight. And then since then, he lost to Horiguchi and, I forgot who was before that. Royval? No. But you know what I'm saying. Last 3 years, he's had 3 fights, lost 2 of them. Really lost all 3 of them. So that's just atrocious. Also, is he still in the top 10? Again, another guy hasn't beaten Pereira. Hasn't won a fight since he beat Pereira, which was 3.5 years ago, or a little over 3 years ago. Has lost to everybody. It's like, oh, well, it's been, he's lost to good guys. But again, he hasn't won in 3 years. They fixed a lot of the issues with some of these guys, like, not really having any wins or like not having any impressive wins. And so they like put them lower, but they're still such obvious people. And then also the head-to-head matchups. I like they have Arnold Allen at number 5. I think Allen deserves more respect and he's very underrated. But John Silva beat him not that long ago. And it's like the same thing. Like, I'm a huge college football fan, and this is always like a topic with the rankings, the top 25. But it's the same thing with this. Why even have the fights if head-to-head matchups don't matter? So John Silva should be ahead of Arnold Allen. Another example, they have Prates at number 1. Prates has a great resume, but also Ian Gary has a great resume, and he beat Prates. Also, Joaquin Buckley over Kamaru Usman. Atrocious. And then another one I had was Anthony Hernandez. I thought was a little low, which that's kind of going off topic, but, Anthony Hernandez just, strangled and mauled everybody that he fought before Strickland. And he also has a win against Brendan Allen, who they have at number 4. So that was just another one I thought he should be higher. So now that I got all that off my chest, all the bullshit that they did, now these are some of the things they actually did right. Paulo Costa at number 4. I think this is actually perfect because there's really no good contenders at light heavyweight. And I think that Costa's win against, before UFC 328. Was that the yeah, before UFC 328, there was like no contenders except for Azamat Murzakanov. Long winning streak, had been slumping everybody. He was the boogeyman of that division. He was like the okay, this is probably the best contender that we have. And Costa went up and, made him literally he literally made Azamat Murzakanov like walk around and then take a head kick and he visibly chose defeat. You saw the decision in his mind to be like, this fucking sucks. I'm just going to fall over. That alone should put Paulo Costa in the top five. Because of the fact that Azamat was the best prospect or like the best contender before that. And, also that he like knocked him out, finished him. But then also, there's really no one else at light heavyweight that's done anything impressive. So I think Costa being in the top five is actually perfect. And then also, as much as y'all know, if you like, coming from X, I love Patty, my third favorite fighter. But him at 9 is actually valid because his only win, he lost to Gaethje, which is actually now like a much better loss than it looked before. Gaethje fought Ilya. But then Patty has wins against Chandler, which Chandler means jack all shit now. But then actually the King Green win is aging a lot better because now he's on a 3-fight winning streak. He's going to fight Terrence McKinney. If he beats Terrence McKinney, he's probably going to get from the AI rankings, that might even put him into the rankings. Or like in the top 15 if he beats McKinney. And the fact that Patty just choked him out in the first round is like more impressive. But yeah, like last 2 years, if that's your only win, maybe Patty should even be lower. As much as I love Patty, yeah, he shouldn't be at number 6 like they have him in the media rankings. I liked Bautista at 5 over Song Yadong because Song lost to Peter Yan 2 years ago. And Yan, I think, had like no ACL. Fought Cejudo, which Talbot beat Cejudo worse than Song did. And then Song lost to O'Malley. And then he got a win against Figgy, but then even Figgy, we know, he looked awful against Umar, so like that's not that impressive. So I don't think that Song should be in the top 5. And then Bautista was on a really long winning streak before he lost to Umar, which even the fight against Umar was pretty competitive. And then he went and just easily disposed of Vinicius Oliveira. So I think it's valid to have him in the top 5. I think he's underrated. Fiziev not being in the rankings was also good. Because same thing, you look at Fiziev, I think he's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. The only one being Ignacio Bahamondes, which even Bahamondes lost his next fight after that. So, that's pretty easy to, pretty easily to see as valid. So Fiziev not being in the rankings. I like RoboCop being in the top 10 because he has solid, like Christian Leroy Duncan, he has that win, which now Christian Leroy Duncan is now in the top 15. So that's impressive. And then Bruno Ferreira was on a long winning streak. He looked really good, slumped him in the first round. So I like RoboCop in the top 10. Jan being really low, Jan Blachowicz being really low, I think is valid. Because same thing, he hasn't won a fight since. I think it's been like 4 years since he's won a fight. It's been a long ass time. So even though he's been, screwed over a little bit with these decisions, like he arguably beat Pereira. Not really, but it was really close. Arguably beat Pereira. Arguably beat Ankalaev. Arguably beat Carlos Olberg. Arguably beat Bogdan Guskov. So that's where it kind of sucks, but it's just like on paper he lost. So he should be low. I also like Navajo Sterling in the rankings purely because we just need more blood, like new blood at light heavyweight. So that's more of just a vibe thing, not necessarily like merit. And I liked Vitor Petrino in the heavyweight rankings. So yeah, that is all the good and bad things I think the UFC Meta AI rankings did. Mainly, it was horrible. But I think if they make some tweaks and adjustments, it could be better. Some of these were actually well done, but for the most part, it's more of the inconsistency, I think. you know, guys that haven't won in years, they still have higher up. They fix some of those, inactivity, fighters like placements, but yeah, for the most part, it's like contradictory. And, you know, I would still easily take the media rankings over these AI rankings. So that's my reaction to the new rankings. Let me know what you guys think. See you guys next time.